I'm Taryn Dryfout, author of You've Been Gilmore and But I'm a Gilmore, and you're listening to Fandom Family Chats.
Hey guys, welcome back to FFC. I'm Maureen.
I'm Tiffany.
I'm Amanda.
And I'm Jeanette.
And tonight we are bringing you part 2 that we promised you of our Gilmore Girls debate. We are talking Logan Huntsberger tonight, who some would say is the superior Rory boyfriend.
The love of my life.
So we are all, Amanda's Team Switzerland, but the rest of us are firmly in Team Logan camp, have been for a long time, and have definitely argued this point several times. So we are ready for this, and we are ready to say why Logan is the superior. Stars. Team Logan member, who would like to start? Switzerland can have their moment in a moment.
Oh no, I can.
You're
start.
making faces. Okay, so Amanda's gonna start us off with someone for list.
I honestly did my best. So what I have first, he was more polite to Lorelai.
Because he liked Lorelai.
This is true.
He was. I liked him and Lorelai's friendship while they were dating.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So that's my one thing.
I agree with that. And he does. And the thing that I like about Logan actually is he likes all of her family members.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he gets along with all of them.
Because he comes from a family that is faulty. He comes from a family that is much like Lorelai's, and he understands the pressures and he understands the problems, and he knows that they're people. And so he likes them. I love and I know this is not the Palladinos, but in season 7, when he goes back to Stars Hollow with Rory, and him and Lorelai had that conversation in the kitchen. That's one of the things I really liked about season 7 was that conversation of him saying, listen, I know that I screwed up. I don't want the silver spoon. I know where you came from and I respect you. And he's saying all these things to Lorelai. And I think that's always been the thread with Logan, is that's how he views Lorelai. He genuinely likes and respects her and thinks highly of her for what she's done. And because she did it on her own, he thinks more highly of her.
Yeah, I think he almost looks up to her for it because I think that's what he wants to do. He wants to get away from this just like she did.
Mm-hmm. I mean, yeah, also on my list is that Richard and Emily did like him more. So it was easier for Rory to be with him without the Emily snide remarks all the time.
And Rory didn't have to fight her family to get him included. She didn't have to fight them constantly just to get them to even look at him.
Yeah.
Although same with Christopher. Same with Christopher. They would invite Christopher over for a dinner without Lorelai even knowing.
But they would do that with anybody in their circle.
Yes.
Not just Christopher.
They went with Jess.
Just because Jess is not in their circle.
Even when Jess was with Rory.
Well,
but he was disrespectful and rude and not
I wouldn't
of their
invite him to my
caliber.
house for dinner either.
I would invite adult Jess over, but when him and Rory were dating, I wouldn't want him in my house.
Nope.
But I will say that one thing that did severely bother me was how hard Richard and Emily pushed Logan on Rory when they were talking about how cute their babies would look and how Cape Cod. That really bugged me. I did not like that. I'm all for Team Logan, but I did not like how Emily and Richard tried to orchestrate that and force that. I think it should have been them, not grandparents, forcing their will just because he came from good pedigree, because that wasn't. I like Logan for who Logan is, and the Gilmores sort of just liked him because of his pedigree. And I thought I hated that part of it. I hated it. Drove me nuts.
No, I agree.
Do you have something else on your list, Amanda?
Am I reading my whole list now?
Yeah, you might as well.
Yeah.
I only have a couple more. I'm sorry. I really don't have as many as I did for Jess. Rory usually seemed happier with Logan. She wasn't as, her and Jess fought a lot in their younger years.
I will agree that she did seem happier with Logan because she genuinely was happy with Logan. Logan didn't make her feel less than. He didn't make her feel like she had something to prove. He didn't make her feel like she had to work harder just to make him happy. So she was genuinely happy. And I think we see in her other relationships, she was either held up too high on a pedestal where she didn't belong, or she was made to feel so insecure about herself that she was constantly just working so hard to make the other person happy. And with Logan, there wasn't that. It was natural.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I would say, because I think it was easy. I think he accepted her for exactly who she was, flaws and all. Like, no matter what. Whereas, I mean, we had issues with, I mean, I know we're not comparing, but like sometimes they wanted her to be something else that worked better for them. Whereas I don't think he needed that from her. He wanted her to just be Rory.
Yeah. Because he knew who he was. He didn't like his position. He didn't like where his parents were pushing, but he was confident in who he was as a person, and he knew what he wanted as a person, I think.
I mean, I said it in Jess's episode too. I feel like Rory should be with Logan, but I want her with Jess. That's why I'm Switzerland, is because I want to see the adult Jess and Rory relationship, because we never got to see that. And I think Jess is a completely different person, and it would be a completely different relationship. But Logan and Rory just seem fit together. Like they just, and one of my entire points is they make each other whole.
Yeah.
They really do. And so that's honestly why I'm Switzerland, is because I would be so happy to see either.
Yeah.
I do lean a little bit more towards Jess a lot of the times because it's an unknown, and I can make things in my head be like, adult Jess would do this. Like if it was between teenage Jess and Logan, it would be Logan. But now I know an adult Jess. And so if I can picture Rory and adult Jess together, I like it.
Yeah.
And I just feel like her and Logan are just made for each other. I mean, they're just that's what seems like, I don't know.
Yeah.
They make each other whole. It's what I wrote down.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
And I think that they have enough in common that it works, but they have enough different that they strengthen each other. And I think that's why they are whole. They do make each other whole, because they're different enough that they can be each other's strength in those areas where they're weak, and they're different in the right places. And I really think it was said on the Jess podcast that Logan, it was only excitement that felt like love. And I firmly disagree with that. Disagree with that. He was, he was exciting because he made her think outside the box. And Logan really genuinely, he is the one, and I will fight on this hill. I will die on this hill, but he is really the one who helped her out of her shell, because it wasn't until Rory met him that her confidence started to build in herself. And it did start with the Life and Death Brigade, but it was that one line where she was told for the first time, when she said, once in a lifetime experience, and he said, only if you want it to be. That one line, the look on her face and the way she viewed herself after that moment, her confidence in herself was built up so much by that. And it was Logan and he didn't force her. That's the thing. He didn't force her to be out of there because he was mad and she had to follow him. And he didn't force her by manipulating. He was just himself. And Rory was drawn to that. And because it was fun, she did it. And he made her see that it's okay to have some fun once in a while, to not be so serious and so stuck in your rut all the time, that it's okay to let loose. Yeah. And he supported her when she did make stupid decisions, like the boat. And that was one time where he probably should have used a little maturity in there, when he's like, if we're going to steal a boat, I'm going to need to know the reason. Yeah. Maybe not maybe not encourage her to steal a boat. Maybe, but it was a college thing too. And if you can use youth as an excuse to explain away a lot of things, they were in college. I never stole a boat in college, but
the opportunity never presented itself to do that.
I don't think I would have taken it.
Could I have been at a party and somebody suggested steal a boat and I went along with it? Maybe. I mean, I don't know. It depends on how good of a time we're having. But I think
Logan gets blamed for that though, because that was Rory's idea.
It was.
He went along with it, but he doesn't control her. And I think people act like that. He doesn't control her. She's the one who made him feel bad. And then convinced him. She knew that it wouldn't take a lot to convince him to do something reckless.
Yeah. Well, he was still in that reckless phase of his life too, which we all learned it was because he knew what was coming down the line for him. And so he was in a reckless phase of his life. Talking about the excitement, do I think that excitement is what originally drew them together? Absolutely, I do. But I don't think they were together for 3 years. That's definitely not what it was throughout the relationship. I would actually say the opposite. I would say, I know we're not supposed to argue for Jess, but I feel like it's relevant since they said it on there. I would say that the relationship with Jess was purely excitement and the being a rebel, dating the bad boy and trying, I think that's more of being drawn to the excitement of him than Logan was. Maybe in the beginning it was excitement, but I think it definitely, we see it grew into a whole lot more than just that.
Mm-hmm. But we never got to see that play out with Jess either. The amount of time that she was with Jess and this time she was with Logan are just two completely.
Yeah. And I agree with that, actually. And that's why even when we talk about like adult Jess, like we didn't get to see them in a relationship. So we can't judge if they would work as a couple because we didn't see it.
I agree.
So I can't make that argument. Do I think he's a nice human being now? Yeah, from what I saw, he definitely was. But like we saw her with Logan and we saw that it worked
and
for a very long time.
I think the difference there is that when she had her relationship with Dean and she had a relationship with Jess, she was a high school student who, and Dean was her first ever. Jess was her first bad boy. And by the time she got to Logan, she was already growing in who she did. And we talked about this on the Jess one. I don't think she knows who she is, even at the end of this whole series. No. I think having a baby is going to help her figure out who she is. I think she's kind of had an identity crisis post-college on.
Yeah.
But she still grew, although she may not recognize who she is, she still grew as a human being. High school, she didn't really do a lot of growing because she was a high school student. She was a teenager. But in college, she was growing and she was finding her morals. She was finding her limits. She was finding all that stuff. And Logan was right there to grow alongside her. And I think that's why when I'm trying to make a point without arguing against Jess here. It's killing me.
I know it's really hard to do.
That's what it is. This is what people compare. So it's hard to not compare them.
I think that because of that, Logan actually knew her better than anybody else on that show. Even better than Lorelai, because there are things Rory kept hidden from Lorelai that Logan was privileged to see. And towards the end of her collegiate career, and you even look at A Year in the Life, even if you want to take out season 7, because the Paladinos didn't write it, you look at A Year in the Life, Logan knew more about her than her mother did. Logan knew her better than anybody else. It's why she continues to go back to him. It's why she continues to ask him for his advice and his favor. And he encouraged her in her craft. You can say whatever you want about Logan, but he was, even when she was there talking badly about that, when he invited her to that party. Do you remember that in season 7? And she wrote an article about it. And it was just bashing all the people there. And it was cruel to the people that he was with and the people he was working alongside. He still encouraged her, right? But he called her out on her crap. He flat out, and that's what you need. You need someone who's going to call you, not going to be like, "Oh, such great writing, hooray, good job." This is really mean, and this is not okay. The things that you said about these people, but it doesn't mean he didn't encourage her in her craft. He continued to provide opportunities for her. He gave her context, and as much as people might think, "Oh, he's just buying her off," we've talked about this even planning our convention. Most of success in business is knowing someone. It kind of sucks, but that's what he did. And he didn't do it just to buy her off. He did it because he knew she had a gift. He did it because he knew that she had talent. This is what she wanted to do. So he allowed her to use his contacts to do that. He encouraged her to keep writing. He encouraged her in the Yale Daily News. You look at when they got back together that night, they were supposed to have their first date. And Paris screwed over the paper in that fantastic episode. He showed up and worked right alongside her, did the work right alongside her, encouraged her to keep going. He is the one who knew her better than anybody else. And he is the one who continued to push her to keep going in her craft.
Yeah, I had that actually on my list that it just says his connections. Because I feel like it's not why she was with him, but it helped that they knew they had something in common that way. No, they were both interested in something similar.
Yeah,
his connections. I mean, that's unfortunately that's just human life. As much as you don't want to admit it, that is why some people are with other people. They love them, but it also kind of starts as being a connection.
But I don't think that's what happened here. I think that out of their relationship, he saw her, what she was good at, what she wanted, and he allowed her to use his he provided his connections to her. Rory didn't use him for his connections. He said, okay, you want to do this? Here, utilize this.
Tiffany, what's on your list?
A lot of things.
Let's start with the tips of his hair. Jeanette will finish off with the toes. Let's just go all the way down.
No, I don't think we want Jeanette to go into detail in the middle of his body, please.
Tiffany's face is like, who gets to do that part? Now look at her.
Maureen, she's a little.
Volunteers tribute.
Oh goodness. What's on your list, Tiffany?
We already talked about that.
Is she turning a page?
Yep.
She's got a notebook.
My Logan list was very long.
My Jess one was 3 pages.
Are you kidding me, Amanda?
My Logan get that right. And it's honestly because it's easier to sum it up.
You're not Switzerland?
I think
no.
what I actually think it is you need more of that for Jess, because you have to work harder to build a case for Jess.
No, and honestly, that's what it is. I have to like remind myself of why I do love Jess, and that my list is long because there's a lot of things. My list with Logan is way shorter, for the mere fact that
because it just makes more sense.
It makes more sense. Like,
yeah.
Legit, let me read my list right now and it'll just explain it because I only have one more thing on my list. Logan was more polite to Lorelai, and she wrote that lovely letter for him. I loved that when she did that. Rory seemed happier with Logan. He really does love Rory. You can see it.
Mm-hmm.
His connections. Emily and Richard like him better. They make each other whole. And he was a lot more romantic with her.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's my entire list. I mean, it's honestly, it's not because I love Jess more than I love Logan. It's just because it's Logan and Rory. It's just a little bit more simple to just say they were made. I mean, they were made each other whole. I don't know how else to explain it.
He genuinely cared about her well-being, like all of her well-being. Look at that episode when Richard had the heart attack and he stopped what he was doing to fly to where she was just to be with her while her grandfather was in the hospital.
And he wouldn't even answer his phone calls or his texts. He told her, all I need to worry about right now is you.
And that was before that business idea blew up. That was when everything was still good and going well. He dropped everything just because he knew that she would be hurting and he wanted to make sure he was there to comfort her.
Yep.
And let's talk about that bridesmaids thing for a second. Let's talk about that issue.
Let's dive in.
Okay. Now here is why. Was that a stupid thing to do? 1000% yes. Logan is put, and I said this in the other podcast, Logan is put no shining light by me for sleeping with all of those bridesmaids. He gets no kudos from me, no pats on the back. No, nothing. It was an idiotic thing to do, and it was stupid. Rory flat out ignored him. She avoided him. She did not call him, talk to him, see him, approach him. Nothing from September to January, February?
It's a long time.
She was also an idiot. She initiated the breakup by the fight that they had, and then never talking to him after that. She initiated it. Did he jump to conclusions? Possibly. But he told her, and he also told Honor. So at Thanksgiving, Honor called her and said, I heard you were broken up by Logan. So at Thanksgiving, Honor did tell Rory, hey, you're broken up. So those words were uttered. I just want to make that clear. But Logan, what he did there was he was numbing out, first of all, because I think it hurt him to lose Rory. I think Rory was his first real relationship. He panicked when he saw her having a connection with some other person who was not him. He panicked. He said stupid things. He acted jealousy. He acted like a fool. And because he's never been in that before, he was like, screw this. I'm not going to do this anymore. This sucks. I'm going to go back and I'm going to show her. I'm not going to show her, but I'm going to be exactly who I was before. I said that's who I was. This is who I am. I don't think he wanted to do it. I don't think he planned it out, but I think he reverted back to before Rory because he was so afraid of what he was feeling, I think. And he was afraid of, he didn't want to get hurt, but he was also afraid of her connection with someone else and how it affected him, that he was like, you know what? No, I'm done. I'm not doing this again. Was it stupid? 100%. Should it have been done? Absolutely not. But that's what he did. They were broken up. If someone, even if it was 2 weeks, someone didn't talk to me, I'm thinking, okay, we're done. Especially since,
it was her responsibility to reach out to him, only because yes, he had acted stupid with Jess that night. Absolutely. I hate that episode. Like, I hate the way he acts. Jess acts stupid too, but Logan definitely starts it. I'm not making excuses for him. He was being a jealous jerk. But he gets her to leave. She says, I don't want to go anywhere with you. So it's not like he was trying to break up with her in that moment. He wasn't trying. He was trying to like, let's go. I'm sure he wanted to talk about it, get through it. She said, I don't want to talk to you. And then you don't call him at all. What do you think that's going to say to someone, especially someone who, you're his first relationship? So it's not like he even really understands. I mean, like, he probably thinks, okay, yeah, we are broken up because this is the first actual relationship he's ever been in.
Yeah.
So again, I don't condone it either. I mean, what a sleaze to sleep with, like, 4 girls in a matter of a few months. I don't disagree with that.
Yeah.
But I think in his mind, he truly, truly believed they were broken up.
And I think on some level, so did Rory.
Yeah.
And if she thought after 3 months of not talking, no connection, no nothing, that they were just going to go right back to being together, she's an idiot.
And if you say, like, why didn't you tell me? Why would he tell you?
Why didn't you say something?
I mean, maybe he should have said something when he realized that she was going to be with all of those women in the same room. Maybe then you should have given her a heads up.
I agree with that. He should have said something there.
Yeah.
But she also wasn't called back until he walked away. So I don't think he thought he was going to be in the room with them. I thought he thought he could shield her all night from them. Kind of how Lorelai was doing with Luke when Christopher showed up. Like, oh, I'm not going to tell Luke. And then, oh crap, Christopher's here. I have to tell you now.
Yeah.
I think Logan was hoping to shield her all night long.
Yeah.
But then Honor called her back.
Well, and then, I don't know. I feel like
Still
this just needs to be brought up too. Rory also, not long after all of that, runs off to see Jess, kisses him. And do we ever tell Logan about that? I don't think so.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it ever comes up. So it's like.
And that was after they got back together, though.
They were back together, yes. So it's like, how do you
solidly
get angry?
Back together?
Yeah. So how do you get angry with him and then you turn around and do something like that? I don't know. It just.
And what never got angry at him for that, though. I never.
No, but a lot of the other camp does, though. That's like they use that as a standing ground for, look at how he cheated on her. Look at how he gaslighted her. Look at how he didn't do any of that. He was just saying, this is what happened. This is, am I stupid? 100% I'm stupid. And I think that's the thing too, is that the other camp thinks that Team Logan is all in support of what he did. No, we're not.
No, of course
we're not in support of what he did. We just know that they were broken up and he didn't do anything to Rory. He should have protected himself a little bit better because they were very easy ladies. So, who knows what could have happened there. So he should have protected, but he didn't do anything to Rory in that. There was nothing against Rory. There was no revenge against Rory. There was no nothing against her. She wasn't involved in that at all.
Like, I wouldn't even say what he did was wrong. Was it dumb and like you shouldn't be sleeping around like that? Yeah, probably not. But in his mind, he did not have a girlfriend, so there was nothing wrong with what he was doing.
I think he was upset. That's unfortunately.
I feel like most of us have been there. I mean, maybe not everyone. I've been there.
The same.
Try
to get over someone, get under someone else. So
it happens.
It happened.
I mean, that's
especially as a college
common.
Student.
Really in college. Everybody needs to wake up and get real.
So
it happens.
It does happen, but it doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be like, yay, good job.
No, I don't think it's yay, good job, but I think it's like, for me, like I'm not gonna like judge you on it either. Like it is what it is, kind of thing. But while we're talking about this, I feel like we should go ahead and tackle the other major argument against him, which is also like a year in the life where he's cheating on Odette. And I'm going to go ahead and make my case on this one.
Good, because I have a lot to say.
Oh, good, because this is mine.
So my thing is, if we met Odette and we saw she's madly in love with Logan, she's committed to this relationship, and he's still sleeping with Rory, then I have an issue. Mm-hmm. We did not see that. We have no idea what she is doing. We are under the impression this is a business arrangement. It is. So how do we know that she doesn't have like her own side piece? If we're being honest, we don't know that.
Yeah, so but what kind of relationship is that going to be?
A dynastic
look at me
one.
go. I can't go. Yeah.
The thing is though, I view it as he can't have a love relationship. He tried that. He asked her to marry him. He wanted this relationship. She turned him down. So now I personally think he's protecting himself and not even trying to fall in love with anyone else. He's just going along with this thing for his dad because the person that he wants won't have him, won't commit to him.
I'd even go a step further and say that the reason he won't love anybody else is because he still is so in love with Rory.
Absolutely.
That is the reason why that he has allowed himself to say, okay, Dad, set me up with this whoever. And I don't think it's his parents are forcing him into this. I don't think it's I have to serve my family. I think it's him saying, you know what? Rory is who I love. She's the only one I'm ever going to love. I don't want to get over her. I'm not going to get over her. So I'm going to step into this. And the other thing we don't know is, did this happen after he ran into Rory again? And Rory said, I only want a Vegas relationship. Or did this happen beforehand? And then he met Rory and she said, after he was engaged to Odette, Rory and him came apart. Mm-hmm. We don't know that. We have no information that says either one way or the other. But I think it's clear in A Year in the Life, and this is a Palladino thing, that he is so in love with Rory that he will have her any way that he can get her. He will take her whatever she's willing to give to him. He will have her that way. Mm-hmm. If she's willing. Does that make the cheating okay? No, doesn't make it okay. But again, we don't know what Odette's take in all this is. We know that he keeps them separate, but I mean, why would you not keep them separate? Even if they were both into different relationships, is it going to be a good relationship between him and Odette? No. It's going to be a business arrangement, which it's clear through the whole Year in Life. That's exactly what it was. Mm-hmm. He called it the great dynastic plan.
That was my next point. You know, when she asked him, so are you really going to marry Odette? It's not like he says, yes, I have to do this. He says, that's the dynastic plan.
Mm-hmm. And the way he says it, though.
Yes.
It's the tone. He says, it's basically, well,
there's a sadness.
The plan. And that's his opening to her to saying, that is the plan, but I don't have to do it. Give me one word and I'll go with you. And yes, I know that's us putting a lot into his tone, but look at the way he looks at her. Look at how sad he is to see her go. Look at how A Year in the Life with his scenes, how it ends. Mm-hmm. He wants Rory. It's always been Rory. It's been Rory since season 5. That's it.
Yeah, that's it. It makes me think back, and only because I was watching some Logan scenes today, when he's supposed to head off to London and they're sitting there at his little London party and he looks at her and he says, tell me not to go.
Yeah.
And that's what I feel like that's what he's waiting on. He's waiting for her to say, don't marry her, be with me. And I think he would drop it all. I mean, we've already seen that he's willing to give up everything the Huntsbergers have to offer for Rory.
Yes.
The only reason he went back to it is because he no longer had Rory. Mm-hmm. So he had nothing to lose at that point.
Yeah. And we also don't know that he's working for the Huntsbergers right now. We know that his dad has arranged for him or the dynastic plan. So the family's arranged for them to get married. We don't know where he's working. We know in season 7 where he ended up working. But again, it's hard because we almost have to take out season 7 because the Palladinos didn't write that. And the Palladinos, I think they kind of picked off where it ended in their heads and then went from there.
But season 7 is one of my favorite Logan.
I know, but the Palladino, Amy Palladino didn't even watch season 7.
Well,
so she has no idea what happened and what went on. So we don't even know if Logan works for the Huntsbergers. She left that vague and open. Mm-hmm. He's not really surprised to see his dad at the restaurant, but that's where their family goes. So it's not a surprise. But we don't know if he's working for his father. We don't know any of that stuff. But what we do know is it's Rory who insisted on the Vegas relationship. And he even said to her a couple different times in the year in the life that he would stop and she would stop him and say, no, it's Vegas. I don't need to know. This is what we have. And even all those times that she called him on repeat, one after the other. That's one of my favorite scenes in the year in the life. When she calls him and then just starts throwing the phone and Logan's like, Rory, what is happening? That's one of my favorite scenes. Yeah. But even there, you could tell that he is ready and that you can tell because it's written that way. It's not just that we're putting our own, the Paladinos wrote it that way, that he's ready to give it up. I just one word from Rory, he will end the engagement. He will stop all that. He even doesn't he say something like that to her when they're on the phone, when she's like, oh, she's moving in with you, isn't she?
I've only watched it once because I don't really care for it. So I can't.
Well, if Logan, it was a business arrangement, why is she moving in with him?
Because they have to be married.
You still have to be married. It's still a marriage. You
can get married without living with each other.
Well, they have to, for society's benefit, they have to appear to be like committed to each other.
And he said dynastic plan. There has to be a dynasty that's created. So they have to be in the same room at least a couple of times a year. But I mean, you look at Shira and Mitchum. They have a lot of issues. They live in the same house. You look at a lot of those people who are married in that area, in that circle, they don't have to like each other, but they're going to live in the same swanky house. Yeah. And maybe that was part of the deal, is that maybe his family is more wealthy than her family is. There's so much we aren't given.
We don't know.
So much. I wish that they would write all the information down in a comprehensive book for what they left out, that we could read and be like, oh, okay, so this is okay.
But then we can't have these arguments.
No, so they just need to come out with one more just to freaking tie it up, because they left us on a freaking cliffhanger. Yes,
they'll never do that.
Please.
I know they won't. And it almost ruins Gilmore for me.
I don't want it, because I'm sorry, but I do not like A Year in the Life. I feel like it messes with all that I had watched build up. Even with watching, because in my mind,
well, it does, because it discredits all of season 7.
Yeah, when in my mind, when season 7 ended, even though she said no to his proposal, in my mind, before A Year in the Life, they met back up a couple years later and they lived happily ever after.
Yeah, same.
So this messes with it, and so I don't care for it. And I think if we made more, it would just mess it. And not just Rory and Logan. I feel like a lot of stories just no one seemed right anymore.
Everybody was different.
Like Lorelai,
how they used to be.
10 steps backwards. Like it was, everything
Lorelai
was
went on a hike.
It was weird. I'm sorry. So I don't want any more, because I think you'll just mess it up even more than you already have.
I do think, though, that they need to fill in some facts.
Yes.
Like, this is where Logan works. This is how Rory and Logan met up. Mm-hmm. This is the relationship Jess and Rory had in this interim. This is how Odette and Logan, this is how they got engaged. Like, there's facts that we need to know. They don't need to fill in the rest of the story, but there's facts that we need to be aware of, I think.
Yeah. I think you said earlier, just write a book. Just one.
That would work.
And I think
I would like a book.
I think the biggest argument against Logan, well, we've already said a couple of them, but one of the biggest ones is that, well, the Paladinos didn't write 7, so none of season 7 is real. Well, here's the thing.
It still happened.
Paladinos didn't write season 7, but it still happened whether they wanted it to or not. Would I have rather the Paladinos wrote season 7? Yes. But did they? No. It still exists, though. So you
maybe, though. Would we have gotten what happened in A Year in the Life? Because I don't know.
It would have ended with Rory pregnant.
I don't think that there would have been A Year in the Life if the Paladinos wrote season 7.
But I feel like, would we have gotten, I don't know.
We would have gotten a season 7 and a season 8 from the Paladinos, and it would have ended with Rory pregnant, saying those same exact lines that she said to Lorelai. That's where it was going to end. So it would have ended the same
10
way.
Years earlier?
Mm-hmm. That was where those last lines of A Year in the Life were the lines that Amy Sherman Palladino always intended to end Gilmore with, and they were going to get a season 7 and a season 8. So, and whether or not they could have negotiated for longer, that Rory pregnant saying those words was exactly how she intended to always leave Gilmore. So that's why they won't do another one, because it ended exactly where she always wanted it to end.
Well, I'm going to make one.
We should write our own script.
She just can't end up with Jess, Amanda.
I'll write one.
No, she would end up with Logan. Now, I would not have her pregnant at the beginning, and I would want her to have a fling with adult Jess.
It's just a one-night stand I'm okay with. It's fine.
Rory needs to get her crap together, grow some
Yes.
balls, and learn to commit.
Yeah,
Because
she does.
clearly she hasn't done that in the last 10 years.
I would agree with that.
And I
Yeah.
think what Logan did for her, and even with the proposal, like we saw Logan, people always say, well, he's just an immature punk. All he ever wants to do is be careless and drink. No, that was in college. And the reason he did that, because that's another argument that's thrown against Logan a lot to discredit him as a boyfriend. The reason he was the way he was in college is because he knew what his plan for himself, or what his parents had for himself, was going to look like after college.
Mm-hmm.
It was laid out for him. Expressly laid out for him, and he didn't want that life. And that's one of the things he says in that episode when Jess comes back is she says there's so many doors open to you, and he says there's one door and I'm being pushed through it.
Yeah.
He doesn't want that, but he knows it's coming because he feels all the pressures of his family. And so in college he lets off steam, he gets crazy, he does stupid irresponsible things because he knows that from the moment of college on he at least at the time thought, I'm never going to be able to make another decision for myself. Once I'm in this family wheel, I'm never going to get out. So when he breaks out of that mold and he leaves his dad's company, that's when you see him actually become himself. He goes out and he finds a job that's going to be really good for him. He does things on his own. It's when he works under his father that he breaks under these pressures and he tries to prove himself. But when he's out on his own without his father, he's great. At least in terms of career and life and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
I have another good thing. I was watching Gilmore most of the day today, like in the background, just to get my mind in Logan world, because in my rewatch right now, where did we end today? Oh, I ended at the London party. He's about to go away. But I love nobody stands up to Mitch like Rory does. When she chewed him a new one over the phone when he was in the hospital.
Love that.
I was like, ooh. And the way she looked at him like he's over there. I do love that.
I think Mitchum respects her because of that.
He does.
No one else in the world will do that to him.
And that shows you the kind of confidence that Rory has when she's with Logan. And not that a man should give you your confidence, but because Logan had so much faith in who she was and her abilities in a healthy way, rather than her mom and her grandparents be like, there's nothing you can ever do wrong.
Yeah.
Logan had a healthy faith in what she could do. And that gave her confidence in herself and her abilities. And that allowed her, that gave her the confidence to stand up to Mitchum. And the fact that she loved Logan so much to see him in any sort of pain and neglected in any sort of way, that allowed her to stand up to Mitchum.
That's what I was going to say, because I mean, I don't argue with people. I don't like conflict, but I mean, for someone that I love, for my children, for my husband, like if someone hurts them, I'll go up against anybody. And so I think that shows like how much she truly cares for him, that she was willing to just, let him have it like she did. But, Logan will do the same thing. Like, I mean, the argument of he does whatever his daddy wants, whatever. One of the things I think about is when he finds out what Mitchum said to her, that scene, he is so mad when he's like, you're my girlfriend, Roy, he shouldn't treat you that way. I mean, he's ready to go blow up at him right then. She won't let him. So, I mean, and we see the way he stands up for her when they all give her a hard time at the dinner. I mean, he goes to bat with his family for her over and over again. Yeah. And the only reason he submits to his dad's designs right out of college is because that's the only door that has been made available to him. Yes. His dad is very powerful, and every skill that Logan has, everything that Logan has studied for, has been for this business. And it's kind of hard to go against your dad when he owns most of the business that you're trying to get into. Yeah. And if that's the only door open to you, that's the one you're going to go to. But what we see Logan did is he went into that and he branched off. He went into that, but he looked for ways to break out of that. And he did successfully break out of that and go on to something else. Amanda, what do you want to say? Because I know that you don't agree that he is not under his dad's thumb.
That boy is so far up his daddy's butt.
No, he's not.
Yeah, he is.
Give me an example.
I would have asked Rory to marry him if he was.
He wouldn't have left his dad's company. He wouldn't have started another job. He wouldn't have gone against his dad's back and did the tech thing, even though it blew up in his face.
He would not be marrying this woman if it was not for Mitch.
He doesn't have any other options. He has
He
nothing
does.
to lose.
He doesn't
He
have to get
asked his
married.
dad for it though.
He doesn't have to get married.
Don't they say in the Year in the Life that he asked his dad to set this up?
That's a
could've made
point
that up in my
against
head.
Logan then. Again.
But why?
What
Like,
if he
why-
wants to be a
I
father?
do not agree with him getting married as a business arrangement. That is not a marriage. I don't believe that.
I agree, that's not. But some cultures it
that
is.
bothers. That is that because that is my argument. Like you said earlier, that is my argument when it comes to Logan. Is that really frustrates me? I know it's a business arrangement. I know there's no love there. There might not ever be, but you don't know that. You don't know if he's married in this business arrangement and he's going to have to sleep with her and make an heir with her. Have a man live with a woman, have children with her, and not fall even a little bit in love with her. I mean, no, that's not how it.
Well,
Maybe
it's
he
not
will.
life.
and if he does, I see Logan as the kind of person that if he does fall in love with Odette, he will not do this with
Mhm.
Rory anymore. He's not. He's a
We've-
loyal.
But he already knocked her
person.
up. What's he
But-
going to do now?
But we
But the
have
thing
no
is-
proof that he loves Odette. We have no proof that
Yeah.
Odette loves him. We have like nothing.
If
Odette
there
is
are
almost
two-
never near him. They're in two completely different countries.
If
See,
there are
this fight
two-
will never end because we will never get to see
Right.
how it actually plays out. Does he leave Odette? We don't know.
But
Oh, I
it's
think
like two
Logan's-
consenting
you don't know for
adults.
sure.
They're two consenting adults. If they want to get married because it's a business arrangement, that's fine. They're gonna be married. I'm sure they're sleeping with each other too. I mean, why the hell not? Like, you're gonna get married. Like, I don't have a problem with that though, because we don't know anything about her to know if she would be hurt by the Rory situation. If we found out that she would and they were still doing it, then yes, that is a point against Logan and I'm mad about it. But we have nothing to believe that at this point.
We actually have indication it's the opposite
Yeah.
by dialogue and by the fact that they are in two different countries. And we aren't even given when they're getting married. So we don't know if that's the reason why she's moving back is because their wedding date has come up soon. Maybe that's the reason why Logan made that big last ditch effort to come and try to get Rory to be with him. Maybe that's why he came back, because their wedding date is looming. And that's why Odette moved in.
I will never get over it. It will never be okay.
Are you okay with
With me.
Rory sleeping with the other two guys?
I was gonna say, because
No.
Rory's worse, because we do see that poor Paul, that is, I know it's a running joke, that is his
it's
name,
not
right?
even
I don't know.
funny.
Like,
That storyline's not even funny.
because he actually is committed to her. We do see that. So that's worse.
Give me a Rory episode. I will tear her to
I
shreds.
love Rory though, but
I love
yeah,
Rory too.
Yeah.
But when it comes to her character and the stuff that she does and the stuff that she tries to get away with,
Mhm.
I can go all day.
She does kind of put herself above the bar a little bit.
And that's because of how she was raised.
I
She was
know.
raised up on a freaking pedestal.
You can do no
and
wrong.
You can do no wrong. And I don't feel like it's really Logan's fault with this. I don't really think it's Jess's fault with this. I think Rory does what she freaking wants.
Mhm.
Mhm.
And she doesn't really
I think
mind,
Rory tries to follow what other people tell her she should want.
which is sad. I
Mhm,
mean,
really
it's
sad.
just Rory bothers me a lot.
But
Like
with-
characteristics. I love her. I really do. I mean, I love every character in Gilmore Girls. I
Mhm.
can bash them all day if I need to, but I love each and every single. I even freaking love Taylor. Like
It's like your
I
kids.
love
You're aware
all
of their
them.
faults, but you still love them.
Yeah,
Right.
absolutely. That's why I feel that's me. I'm Switzerland because I love everybody in the show, and it's so hard for me to bash anybody too hard without lifting somebody else up.
I
I'm
do
like,
think though
"Oh."
that with Odette, what we're seeing in A Year in the Life is Logan asked his parents to set it up. He did it because he likely wanted to be a father. He wanted to pass something on, and the only woman he's ever loved is not allowing him to marry her and is not allowing him any time of day. So he's settling with something else, and he's settling in a way that he views as safe. Does it make it great? Probably not. I mean, it's probably going to be a difficult marriage. It's probably not going to be a fun marriage, at least not to start. But again, we don't know what she feels. We don't know what she thinks, but I see no indication that he is under his dad's thumb at any point in time other than when his dad tells him his senior year, get in a car, you're going where I tell you to go.
Yeah.
Also, at that time, his dad is still paying for absolutely everything that Logan has. So Logan is already employed by his dad. So it's at that point, it's either
what about the vineyard? That's
that's the one I'm talking about where he said, get in the car right now and go.
Is that the one?
Yeah. That's when he breaks up their
watched
party
that
and
one
tells
not too
makes
long
him get in
ago.
the car and go to London. But at that time, Mitchum is paying for everything. And Mitchum basically controls him. I mean, he's still a college student. Mitchum is still very much in control of who he is and what he's doing. But the moment that Logan gets out into a real world, yes, he's going to work for his dad's company, which he finds that he enjoys the work, but he finds his own path. He carves his own path in it because he doesn't want to be under his father. And we see that when he does finally leave, he actually likes going to Stars Hollow. He likes living in that dumpy apartment. He likes not being fed things on a silver spoon. He enjoys not being under his dad's thumb. So there's no indication that he still is at all. It's just, we see he has a good job and his dad set him up with a girl. I mean, we can't expect him to be wholly separate from his family just because we don't like his family. It's still his family.
I don't think he likes his family.
No, he doesn't. But he still communicates with them in the same way that Lorelai still is around Emily and Richard, right? I mean, he doesn't have to like them, but they're still his family. So we can't expect him to be wholly cut off from them. It's his family.
No, I get it. The Odette thing just really threw me off. I was full team Logan before A Year in the Life. A Year in the Life really threw a wrench into my.
I agree with that.
Because I didn't like it. It bothers me.
I mean, it bothers me too. And I mean, I remember when I first watched it, when we first saw the situation with Odette, before we got to see, honestly, I was mad about the whole situation until that's the dynastic plan scene. And I was like, wait a minute. Like, I think
he doesn't want it.
And that was where it was a turning point for me. I'm like, Rory, if you just say the word, man, he's gonna leave her. And so I think it all changed for me there.
I feel like that was every one of their interactions in your life. Every time she was going to leave him, and he would say something, and he would get like kind of upset, like, I don't want to say this in front of you because I don't want to disrespect you, sort of thing. And Rory's the one who's like, no, this is fun. It's casual. It's great. We have no time. Like,
yeah, but I can even tell Rory's just putting on a freaking face.
But Rory's the one who instituted the plan, though. It was Rory's plan. Rory's the one who said, this is, if you want a relationship, this is what I want. And this is how it's going to work. And she said that several times in your life. This is the way this is going to work if you want to be with me. Rory's the one who set that. Yeah, you could tell she's putting on a face. And that's why Logan's trying to pull it out of her. But Rory is the one who set that boundary.
I told you I can go around Rory.
I know, but I mean that's the reason though that Logan doesn't push it harder, and that's the reason why Logan doesn't leave Odette for her, because Rory has insisted so hard. Yeah. This is Vegas, so if he leaves Odette, then he has no opportunities to get married and to have a family. I mean, he's nearing 40.
Yeah,
I think I need to see how he reacts to her being pregnant. Yes. I think that is the only way that I can fully pick a team.
I know how that's going to play out. Go ahead, Shannon.
That, because I know we have the whole, like, oh God, I gotta say this because I hate it. Everybody wants to compare him to Christopher. There is no way that Logan will not be, even if him and Rory don't end up together, even if that did not happen, there is no way that Logan would be a part-time parent to his child because of the household he grew up in and how much he didn't feel love and he didn't feel the support from his parents. There's no way in my mind that he would ever allow a child of his to not feel that complete love and support for him.
I do not agree with you at all.
We will
Christopher's
not
weak.
on that one.
But Christopher is weak, and Christopher has no self-confidence in himself. Christopher has no idea who he is, and he's incredibly selfish. And you can there's a direct comparison between Christopher and Logan in when Richard has that heart attack. Where is Christopher?
I almost brought that up.
Logan shows up. Christopher refuses to show up because he won't. No, I'm fighting with Laura. Like, no. And that's how I imagine his voice in my head when I think of that scene, because it frustrates me so bad. But Logan's there. He shows up. When Rory and Logan fight, Logan comes back. Christopher runs when him and Lorelai fight. They're not the same person. They aren't.
No, they're not at all.
I don't think they're the same person. I don't think they're the same person. I would not say at all. I think there is.
Maybe that they come from wealthy families. I think that's
there's similarities, but I think there's similarities in all the characters, all the way down. Every character has a similarity to someone above them.
But they both come from rich families. They both don't like being from rich families. They both, I mean, there are parallels.
I don't think Logan dislikes it.
I wouldn't, I mean,
see,
I know everybody does. I really wouldn't compare them.
Yeah.
Because I don't think it's the same situation.
Like, I would compare Logan more to Lorelai than I would Christopher. I think they share more similar like views and how they want to get out from under like the life that they've been brought up in and want to change things. I mean, I think he's more like Lorelai than he is Christopher.
I don't think Lorelai would set up a business arrangement marriage to have.
She kind of did though. She kind of did.
Not really.
She did not love Christopher. She was in love with Luke when she married Christopher.
She was
and
angry.
She knew
Absolutely. And you know what? That
was a business. That was an arrangement.
You guys have no idea how PO'd I was. I was like, this is not supposed to happen. Like, this is no.
Yeah.
I agree.
But I mean,
no.
I don't think you can compare. I don't think that we can say that Logan would react the same way to his child. Like, and just like, I mean,
there's no indication.
Even but also Logan's almost 40 and Christopher was 16.
Right.
17, whatever, however old he was. That's a huge difference. If Christopher was 40, just like with Gigi, he picked up and raised Gigi by himself because he was older and more established, just like Logan is now. Yeah, Logan would take care of his kid. I have no doubt in my mind that he would. I think he would be a great dad. I think he would be in his child's life. But I also think, I mean, I can't really compare Christopher and Logan in that same situation because it's two completely different situations.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, just having a kid as a kid is something that I mean, thankfully I don't know anything about, but I don't feel like it compares. I mean, because we did see Christopher when it happened to I can't even remember her name right now, whatever her face left. And
Sherry.
Thank you. And he raised Gigi. I mean, I don't feel like there was a question about it.
No,
he just did it.
He did.
I feel like Christopher made up a lot to Rory.
Yeah, I'm actually a Christopher fan, so like I'm not going to argue with you on that. I actually like.
I do love Christopher. I really do like him. I don't want him with Lorelai.
No, not at all.
But I love their friendship too.
Just like I love see, I can't even make that comparison. I was going to say just like I love Rory and Jess's friendship.
Platonic love is very real, and that's the thing. Like, I like Christopher as a friend. I like Christopher as a buddy. I don't like him as a romantic interest because he's too selfish for that. He's too selfish. Yeah. And like, I love every character on the show, even the ones who are stupid and idiotic and do stupid things. But I think for Christopher, I think that a lot of people compare them too heavily and too heavy-handed.
Yes.
Just because, well, they both came from a wealthy family. They both broke up. No, it's not the same.
So did Lorelai.
Because Christopher tried to impress his family. He tried to impress everyone around him. He tried to be what everyone wanted him to be. Logan never had that inclination. Logan always knew who he was. And Logan wanted what Logan wanted. And it wasn't a selfish thing. We can see that with how he treats Rory over and over and over and over again. I mean, he offered for her to stay in his house when he was gone. He offered to take care of her. And not because he was buying her off, which I've heard that argument, which is just insane to me. Why would he need to buy her off at that point?
He cared for her. I mean,
exactly.
That's what he was,
It's like, he would be damned if he did and damned if he didn't. Because when he has that money, he should be taking care of her. But then they're making the argument, he has that money, he's just buying her off.
I mean, he would have offered that to anyone.
Things. Yes. And he did.
Like, yeah, he would have, like, when we talk about when he gives her a place to live, when he decides, like, move in here, blah, 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 whatever, when she gets kicked out of Paris, Logan would have also helped out someone like Paris. I mean, he would help out anyone. We saw him at that night. They all go out to dinner with the whole Marty situation. He wasn't being condescending when he offered to pay. He was just being like, I got it. I invited you. Like trying to save him the embarrassment that he didn't have the money. He was just being a good guy.
He was in fact trying to not draw attention to the fact that Marty didn't have money. It was Marty who made the big freak out.
Yeah.
That's because Marty was embarrassed. I mean,
he was, and I totally get Marty's side. But Marty didn't like Logan, so Marty would have accepted nothing from Logan. And that was what it came down to. And Logan was just like, hey, I got you. And he did the same sort of thing when Rory was invited to that, when she was abducted, sort of, for that Life and Death Brigade, to that camp in the woods.
Yeah.
Same thing. Like he was
dress
nice to her there. He got the dress, he knew her size, he ushered her around. Yeah, I'm sure he was attracted to her, but he never made a move on her.
He wasn't after her at that point.
There was another point that I want to argue for Logan, and that is when they were dancing and at Emily Richards' renewal, and Rory says, "Are you ever going to make a move on me?" And he says, "No, Rory, I can't, because you're girlfriend material and I am not." And she says, "I don't want that." And then he goes up to the room with her. There have been people who have said, and I will not name names, but there are people who said he was just doing that to get to her, that he wasn't being sincere. He 100% was being sincere. So he hadn't made a move on her. If he wasn't being sincere, he already had her in his pocket. Why did he have to wait? I mean, she was already wanting him, very clearly was going through great lengths to be close to him and connected to him. He didn't have to wait.
No,
he was being sincere.
I mean, I'm sure he didn't turn it down, because I mean, obviously he's attracted to her. He likes her. He says he likes her. So I mean, if she's throwing it out there, like, and she's like, I really don't want anything more, then.
And that's the kind of, he told her, this is the kind of relationship guy I am. So,
but look,
the only way to be with me is this way.
And then when she finally realizes that that's not the kind of relationship she wants, she's trying to give him an out, and she's just ready to walk away. And he's like, no, I want to be with you.
And he was firmly loyal to her.
He was.
And on top of that, when they agreed to just have this stupid, idiotic relationship that they were having, that Rory did not want, but Rory thought she wanted, when she saw him out with this other guy, he came up to her that same day and was like, "Hey, so I saw you." And he was making sure she was okay with it still. Why did he have to do that? He didn't have to do that. He didn't have to. He could have just acted like, "Oh, you didn't see me. I didn't see you." But no, he went right up to her. He sought her out in the newsroom to say, "Hey, I saw you. You saw me. So are we good still, or is this a problem?"
Yeah. Well, even too, like, Tiffany and I were talking about this scene today, and I won't on this episode say what we were comparing it to, but I will bring it up. Tiffany knows, because we had the conversation. But even after, they obviously didn't get to hook up that night at the wedding. They got interrupted. So however many days after that, when he climbs through her window and they're there, and like 3 or 4 times he says, "Rory, do you want me to leave?" And he makes her verbally consent that, no, I want to do this. If he was just trying to get her, why would he do that?
Yeah.
No, I mean, I definitely don't agree with that whatsoever. I think he, like I said earlier, I think he really loved Rory.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think they really loved each other. It's a lot of, I mean, the whole problem in this entire debate is Rory. I mean, honestly, if Rory just got her crap together, like none of this debate would have ever been. There would never have been Team Jess, Team Logan, if Rory just used her head sometimes, even 10 years in the future.
Yeah, she should have said yes to his proposal.
Yeah,
she should have. This was the moment that she messed up.
Absolutely.
I was so mad.
I always thought that.
Like, because here was my thing with that. You could have said yes and just had a really long engagement.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Saying yes doesn't mean that you want to still be with him. You even asked him, well, can we do long distance? So you clearly don't want to break up. So what is so bad? You want to end up with him. You told him that. So what is so bad about saying yes and just having a super long engagement? What is wrong? What is wrong with that?
Because you already know that it's not like he's going to stop you from pursuing your dreams. He already told you he wants to factor you in.
Yes. And he even found newspapers around him that she could work at. And he said, or you could do something else. Like he doesn't put limits on her. And even in a year in the life, for goodness sake, if Rory just said, Logan, I want this. He was clearly several times in a year in the life gave her an out for that. Like, if you say the word, I'm done with Odette, I'm yours. You say it. And she refuses. Like, what do you have to lose, Rory? You're pregnant with this child. Your career is going nowhere. Well, actually, hopefully it picks up now that she wrote the book. But your journalistic career is going nowhere. You are clearly in shambles emotionally. This man, the only man who you can smile around, the only person who makes you feel whole, the only person who you continue to return to because he's good for you, is the one you're refusing to be with? Like, why?
Oh, Lorelai did a number on her, man.
What, Tiffany?
She's a commitment phobe.
She is. Lorelai did do it. Is that what you said, Amanda? Lorelai did a number on her?
Lorelai did this to her.
Kind of, yeah, she did.
Grandma Lorelai is gonna have to help her raise the baby too, apparently.
Okay, so the way it plays out in my head, because I had this all worked out in my head, exactly how the rest of this is gonna go.
I have like a story too that I've put together too. So
yeah,
I
but
want to hear
mine's
yours.
correct. Mine's the right one.
Because I bet I'm gonna like Maureen's better, but let's hear on both, I guess.
You might not. You never know.
Okay.
Mine might be just like Maureen's.
Well, let's see.
Because here's the thing, Rory loves both worlds, right? She loves the Hartford life, and because her grandparents are there, she may not like it as much as she likes Stars Hollow, but she enjoys that lifestyle. She enjoys what it gives her. She enjoys what she gets from it. She enjoys having that connection. She enjoys having that a little bit of frivolity in her life. She also loves Stars Hollow. Okay, she loves that lifestyle there. The only guy that she's ever dated who has enjoyed both of those worlds is Logan. There is no other guy she's dated who has enjoyed both of those worlds. So they both want the same thing. They both are okay with the same people. They're both okay with her family. They love her family. They both feel the same way about his family. So that's a plus. But I think that the moment that I think that she's going to tell Logan she's pregnant before he marries Odette, because she's going to realize through this pregnancy, because here's the thing, it ended full circle, right? Where it starts with Lorelai saying, I'm pregnant. It ends with Rory saying she's pregnant. Rory's going to have a different story, and Rory's older now. So I think this pregnancy, where it made Lorelai insist on being her own person, it's going to make Rory realize what she really wants in life. And I think she's going to realize, I want Logan. I want to be with Logan. I think she's going to tell Logan before he gets married. And because he's going to realize she's having my kid, I am still in love with this woman. He's going to leave Odette. He's going to come back to where she is. I don't think she'll let him in right away. But he's going to be okay with not being let in right away. He's going to be with Rory and his child. He's going to move with her wherever she's at, whether it's in Stars Hollow or Hartford. I think that she's going to want to move into the house that Emily and Richard had, at least until it's sold. I think that that's where she's going to want to live. But I think that Logan is going to come back and stay with her, not in the same house, but, stay with their kid together, raise the kid together. And then she's going to let him in, and they're going to end up together and married, raising a family together, the way it should be done.
That's close to me. Jeanette, what's yours?
Oh, I don't have it like worked out like that. Like they're gonna be together. That's all I got.
Mine's way more detailed, but it would take hours to like write out all the detail, because I have it stored. Jeanette and I have talked about this before. Like when I can't sleep, I write stories in my head. Yeah. And I've worked on this for a long time. Like there's a lot of detail in my story.
I definitely think that I think she'll tell him. And I think in Rory fashion, I think she'll try to be independent about it and want to push him away and want to do it on her own. But I don't think she'll want to push him away though. Sorry, keep going. Sorry. I don't know.
Yeah, I agree with that.
About it. But just like we've seen him in the past of other times when things have happened, I think he will fight for her, and he will make it he will. I definitely don't think he'll marry Odette. There'd be no way. But yeah, no, I agree with the rest. I think
he just needs one reason from Rory that says you can have a connection to me forever. That's all he needs.
Yeah.
What is yours, Amanda?
Honestly, what you said is about what I was going to say. I think she will tell him. I think he will not marry Odette. I agree that she will not get together with him right off the bat. I think they'll be together by the time she has the baby or right after.
Agreed.
I'm like more in that kind of timeline.
Yeah.
And then I think it's, blah, 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 happily ever after.
Yes.
After that. That's my only thing.
Because I think stupidly Rory has convinced herself that he doesn't actually want to be with her. And I don't know where in her mind she got it twisted. I think that's why she's not telling him, hey, I want more than this. I think she's like, oh no, you actually really want to be with Odette. When if you actually really want to be with Odette, why would he keep letting you come over? Like there's just
right.
I think she has a low self-esteem.
She does. And I think that's an offshoot of realizing that she has been put on, because I think towards the end of a year in life, she realizes how big of a pedestal she's been put on her entire life and how far she's fallen off of that. So I think that the reason that she wouldn't let him in right away is because she would want him to be like, no, you don't have to come back just for the baby. I know you don't actually want to be with me. I know it's just because I'm pregnant. You're trying to do the right thing. So I think that's why she'll keep him at bay. But I think Logan's going to prove very easily that I'm not here just because you're pregnant. This is just the match I needed for this fire. This is all it is.
Yeah. Tiffany?
I was just going to say her, because you wanted to be on this podcast so much. And I feel like I've done 90% of the talking, and I want to like make sure that you say your piece because you were excited about it. I'm sorry.
I do not agree with any of you, unfortunately.
Oh,
what do you think?
I want to agree with all of you. However, Rory, I'm with Amanda.
You're a big Rory fan like me.
I have so many problems with Rory. After her conversation with Christopher about how he felt that Lorelai chose to raise Rory on her own, that seems like an indication to me that that's the route Rory's going to go.
That's why I think that's the route she'll try to go, but I don't think Logan will step aside like Christopher did.
I think she feels like that's the route she's going to be forced to go.
Yeah.
Because I think she thinks Logan's going to marry Odette. I'm going to have to do this on my own because he's going to be with Odette and I'm not going to have anybody else. And I'm going to have to do this on my own, and I need to be prepared to do it on my own.
That's how I felt too. I agree with that. That's why I don't think she'll even if he does leave Odette immediately after he finds out that she's pregnant, I don't think it's going to be an immediate get together between them.
No, definitely not.
It's not. I mean, it's going to be
I agree with that.
Work to get back.
Do you think he'll just never be with her then, Tiffany?
That's up to Rory, honestly, if she can, get whatever's wrong in her mind right with relationships. I mean, she has so many problems with all of her relationships for many reasons. And she just, even when she has this perfect guy in front of her, willing to give her anything and everything she wants, she still wants something different.
Yeah.
I don't know. This girl wears me out. I don't know how Lorelai's not Lorelai. Wow. I don't know how Lorelai doesn't have like a full head of gray hair.
Right.
Because Lorelai is not a whole lot different as far as being frustrating. So
and the other thing too about the book thing, everyone's like, well, Jess is the only one who did the book. Jess is the only one who encouraged the book. No, he's not. He's not the only one who encouraged her to do the book. Logan also encouraged her to do the book. Jess said it first, but when they had their life and death brigade came back to town, they were talking. Logan offered her a place to go and get it done. He said, go there. This is your place as long as you need it. I know you can do this. I know it's going to be great. Go there and get this out.
Yeah, because I think, the reason he didn't say it first, I think Logan's never been one to tell her what she needs to do, but he's always been the first one to be there to support her in whatever decisions she does make.
Yeah.
But he's not, just like the Yale thing. No, he didn't tell her she needs to go back to Yale, but he says, like, I give it a month, I give it whatever. He had no doubt, and he didn't want to talk about school in front of her. He didn't want to like rub it in her face. He was definitely wanted her to go back to school, but he wasn't going to be the person that told her you need to do this. That's not how their relationship worked. Because like
he knew firsthand what it felt like to be told what you were going to do and what you needed to do his entire life. Logan, in that time, he knew she needed that time away to understand what she needed. He knew she needed that time away. And that time away was very clarifying for her. She needed to do it. I think that everyone reacted a little too strongly to her not being in Yale, honestly.
Yeah, I think the reactions that she got is what caused it to last as long as it did.
It always bothered me that Lorelai like reacted the way that she did.
It's too much.
I don't agree with Rory dropping out of Yale. I feel like she worked way too freaking hard to just drop out for that year. So I don't agree with that. But I felt like it was very unlike Lorelai to react so harshly. Like just it felt very out of character for Lorelai. Lorelai's usually like she has her rules.
Yeah.
But she's pretty much let Rory raise herself.
Well, this was one of the first times. I mean, I guess other than she reacted that way with the Dean situation too. So I mean, this was anytime that Rory ever did anything that was somewhat disappointing, Lorelai got kind of crazy about it.
Because this was on the heels of stealing the boat that she made this decision.
Yeah. That's just even with the whole Dean thing. Like I didn't agree with her sleeping with Dean either, but I felt like she reacted way too harshly.
She was an adult. I mean,
every young kid is gonna mess up. I mean, every young kid's gonna make mistakes. That's
because I think she needed support in both of those situations more than like a harsh, like coming down on her so harsh. I mean, obviously, Rory being the kid who had always kind of done what she was supposed to do, when she makes a big mistake like both of those things, there's clearly more going on there that she needs your support, and she needs like someone who she could talk to. At that point is when she needed the Lorelai that's usually around. So both of those times I didn't agree with her. So
I think with the first time Rory and Dean slept together, I think Lorelai handled that appropriately, because Rory didn't think there was anything wrong with it. She really didn't. She thought, he's my guy. It was right that it was him because he's my guy. Dude, he's married to somebody else. You need to understand the severity of he's married to somebody else. I don't think Rory really grasped the severity of it, because Dean said, well, they're not happy and he's mine. So they're just not happy. So it was okay. When Lindsay picked up the phone and Rory heard her, yes, Rory understood the severity of it. But I think that Lorelai tried to have that inroad to be like, listen, let's just talk this out. Lorelai tried to be that support. But Rory's like, nope, because I think Rory realized at that moment when Lindsay picked up the phone, the severity of what she had just done to that marriage.
Yeah. I don't know. I never liked
But
that.
also, to be fair, Rory was not the one that was married.
Absolutely.
I agree. But Lorelai is not Dean's mom.
No.
Dean needed to be kicked a couple places.
Yeah.
Dean was the one who pushed for that. 100%.
Why did they make Dean so unlikable?
But Rory also allowed it to happen.
He started out so well. Like he was so cute.
But the running theme in this show is all of Rory's guys have been so in love with her that they return to her time after time again, and they will have her any way that she's willing to give himself. With Dean, he was the first one who was like, you know what? I'm just gonna take you. Where, I mean, he didn't force himself on her, but he was married. He still continued to pursue her. With Logan, with the engagement, it was Rory who pursued him. With Jess, he returned a couple different times, like, hey, come away with me. So the resounding theme in this show is that people can just not resist a Gilmore Girl. And they just keep coming back for more.
What is so special about Rory?
They're definitely seeing things we are not.
No, I feel like I'm missing stuff.
And the Gilmores are seeing things we aren't. Yeah. Like, Logan is fantastic. Why did you say no?
That I will never, even if I was a full-on Jess fan, I think she was freaking dumb for saying no to
yes.
There was no reason.
They had spent years together. It's not like this was a new relationship. You spent years together. You've been planning how you were going to live out your lives together. You talked about marriage already. He had a solid job. He found a place to live. And the reason he did that too, by the way, is because he knew that how Rory's mind works, where she needs concrete evidence of things. I mean, she never made a decision without a pro-con list. So he knew her well enough to know, okay, I'm going to go and find out all the ins and outs of this position and what it would mean for us, where she could work, what she could do. And that seemed to freak her out. Like, this is how you operate, though. Yeah. You've never done it differently than this. So I think there's just so much evidence that he is the one who knows her better than anybody else. He loves her deeper than anyone else. And not just because he loved her later in life, but because he is the one who grew with her. No one else got the opportunity to grow with her. Jess was never given the opportunity to grow with her because he left. Dean didn't have the opportunity to grow with her because it was her first boyfriend ever. And that's just not realistic. But Logan got her later in life where they could grow together.
Yep.
I agree completely.
Tiffany, do you have more on your list about Logan?
No, we talked about most of it. I think the only thing I did want to mention about Logan was I liked his growth. Like even like the jealousy issue, when they first started, his jealousy, was pretty bad, obviously. But as they progressed, when she mentioned her crush on her teacher that was filling in for her grandfather, he made sure to reassure her, you don't have to tell me about this. I'm not concerned about this. I trust you fully. Yeah. Dean? No, that would never be Dean.
Never.
Oh, don't get me on the toxicity with Dean. Oh, that's red flag after red flag.
In that same episode, Rory was upset because Paris said that she broke him. And Logan even said, well, do you consider yourself mine? She said, yes.
Do you think you belong to me?
Yeah. Like, well, then I'm okay with it.
That is probably one of my favorite lines of the whole series. I don't know. I put it in my video I made today, so I just really like it.
I watched your 10-minute video.
It was like not even 3 minutes. Thank you very much.
I was like, man, this is the longest video FFC's ever had.
No, I've done a lot of the couples ones are like that.
Okay, so I think that, does anyone have any more points they want to bring for Logan before we enter the debate?
No, that's going to be a stressful night. Can I bring?
I'm ready.
Forward to that.
I need a glass of wine.
Looking forward to it.
I'm bringing a glass of wine.
Okay. Well, we have recorded for about an hour and a half. So we have like an hour and a half. We didn't even talk about Logan as much as we talked about Rory's issues.
Well, I told you why that is.
It's hard to talk about Logan without arguing
with Jess. Like, we have to hold back a lot before the debate, or we're just going to really be repeating ourselves over and over again.
Yeah, because I mean, it's like, I don't know. Most of the Jess arguments are trying to like say things that Logan did. So like needing to rebut those. Oh, I'm going to come with points to all my stuff then, so I don't look stupid.
I'm going to have like pages of notes just so I don't.
Tiffany's already got them, so she could just scan those to us, right?
No, I got to make new notes. I've already read all my notes. I got to make new notes.
Which side are you arguing? You're arguing Jess, aren't you? Liar! I bet you don't say one good thing about Logan.
No, literally, my argument tonight. I told you guys. I think that Rory should be with Logan. I think that they're soulmates. I think that they should be together forever. Because we never got to see Rory with adult Jess. We don't know.
That is my biggest argument against it. So I'm like, I can't say that I like that. I don't know.
And that's mine too. Like I love the idea of adult Jess and Rory coming back together.
But see, I want to know why, partially. I know we'll talk about that another time, because I see him like fine, but like there's nothing that I'm like, oh, he's so awesome. Like nothing like.
I just think he's solid.
He's all right.
But solid as in like where we see in season 6 started in season 6. Yeah. When he came back, he wrote the book, but then when he started that publishing firm, and then he, every time he would appear after that, he's just solid in that he knows who he is now. He's not angry at everybody now. He's more calm, cool. And like, even when Rory came up to see him and she went to kiss him, and he's like, Rory, I don't deserve this. That was a teenage Jess. There's not a chance he would have reacted that calmly. And so I think that I think he had a nice growth arc. I think he was the only, I think I said on the Jess when he had the best growth arc, but I think we could see Logan grow too. So I think those two actually had the best growth arcs, those two. But with Jess, I think he found himself on firm ground. And I think that's why he's so solid, because he has a profession. And even in Year in Life, we see him supporting Luke. We see him being there for other people. We see him going to spend time with this mom. We see that aspect of him being a solid guy. I don't think he would work with Rory because they're just not into the same. They just don't want the same things.
If that was going to happen, it would have happened in the Year in Life, but there was no indication that she felt. And that's the biggest thing. Why is Logan the best? Because Rory loves him the best.
Exactly. He is the best for Rory. No matter what camp anyone puts himself in, who does Rory want and who's the best for Rory?
She chooses Logan.
And I said it in Jess, and I'll say it in this one too. I think that adult Jess is too good for Rory.
Now that I don't agree with.
I do. I fully agree with it.
I don't agree with it because by saying that implies that Logan is less than him and is not. I think now if we word it in that, no, I mean, I disagree. I think if we word it in that Logan is better suited for Rory and that Jess, I mean, I think they're equally as great of guys by the show that ends. I don't think that he is suited for, I don't think they would work.
I agree with that as well. But I feel like if Rory dated adult Jess now, she would eat him up and spit him out. I do not think that they would.
I don't think I know enough about adult Jess to make those assumptions.
I just don't trust Rory with Jess. I don't.
I think go ahead.
I think that she won't. I don't think she would treat Logan the same way that she would treat Jess, because I think they had two separate relationships. They had two very different relationships. And Rory likes to hang on the past a lot. So I think she would hang on to a lot of things she would know about Jess in the past. I just don't think it would work. I don't think it would work. It doesn't mean I don't kind of want it though, because you don't get to see it. It's that mystery.
Yeah.
Of I want to know. That's why I was like, I would like to see a fling when they're older, just to get some kind of.
I'm cool with that.
I just want to see it. And I feel like if I see it and I don't like it, then I kind of know.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's the unknown.
I agree.
And that's what bothers me about just leaving a show like this on a freaking cliffhanger, because we're just all have freaking imaginations going. And now there's like World War III and Gilmore Girl world about Team Jess and Team Logan. I mean,
there was World War III before A Year in the Life came out though.
Yeah, it's always been Jess versus Logan.
I think A Year in the Life made it a lot worse though.
But I will say that I do think adult Jess is too good for her. And what I mean when I say that is that Jess is on solid footing and Rory is not on solid footing. Logan, while he has a solid job, he is waiting for Rory to give him that moment. Jess is the only one who's on solid footing in A Year in the Life. Even with Lorelai and Luke. Even with Lorelai and Luke, Jess is the only one who's on solid footing with his job and the way he comes. And that's why I say he's too good for Rory. It's not that Logan is bad. It's not that they deserve each other because they both suck. It's that Rory and Logan grow together well. And they both need to grow. I mean, Logan is currently engaged to another woman. And Rory's a hot mess. So that's why I think that Jess is too good for her in there, because Jess is the one who's got his life figured out. And if Rory were to go with Jess, she would have to be figuring out her mess while Jess is trying to help her figure out her mess, but he's already got his stuff already figured out.
Yeah.
That's what I mean when I say he's too, that's what I mean by he's too good. It's not that Logan's bad. It's that
I agree.
He's got everything figured out already. Logan needs to work on some stuff, and so does Rory, and that's why they work together.
One of the other like major things that I think that, you know, we get to see, like, Logan can meet her on so many different levels. He can meet her on, they have fun banter together, just like, you know, I mean, we know the Gilmore Girls love that. They have fun together. He's the only one I think that brings out that side of her, but he also can match her on an intellectual level. They enjoy these sorts. I mean, like when she throws out names of books and different, you know, historical figures, whereas I mean, Dean never knew what those were. You know what I mean? And no, that's not like a dig, but he did. I just wasn't his thing. When I watch it, I don't know mostly what she's talking about. It's okay. Logan does. He gets it. And so when we talk about them being like suited for each other, I mean, they were well suited for each other on every level that I can think of.
And he had the capacity for the intellectual stuff, they liked the same thing. They were both into journalism. They were both in the books. They were both into writing. They were both into all that stuff. But he could also be goofy with her. And she needed that too. She needs both of those aspects. It can't just be all doom and gloom, hardcore, serious stuff all the time. That's not what Rory, it's not who she is, and that's not what she needs. She needs someone who can bring that other aspect. I love the scene where they're talking about her Thucydides, and when she calls him a work dork, like it's just that's one of my favorite scenes when she's like, "You're a work dork, lover."
I know,
Like,
I love it.
They're goofy. And they do things for each other, so they're there on an intellectual level at all times. They match wits. They are always at the same level intellectually, but they also are able to come down levels and just be silly and goofy with each other.
Yeah, they're perfect for each other.
They are.
I think that's the conclusion that we've come to at the end of this podcast.
Yes,
they are perfect for each other,
and that's about who is not only best for Rory, but who Rory would choose.
Yes.
And that's who it is. I mean, that's it.
Do we even need a debate? I feel like we've just settled this. Like,
I can't wait for a debate
because
I have so many good points for Logan that I can't wait to bring them up.
Just bring your notebooks, Tiffany, because we're gonna need it.
So our debate is going to be coming to you between September 7th and September 11th. You have both of the episodes now, one for Jess with a little bit of Dean in there, and one for Logan. Now I know that the Team Dean, Team Jess one got an hour and a half between two of them, but Team Dean had such a tiny little portion, so it's relatively equal. Logan and them will get the same amount of time. It's an hour and a half for each episode. So we brought all of our facts before you. We've given you all of our arguments for each of these men, and you can make your decision. Who do you think? And then tune in for our debate where we are going to come at each other in a loving, kind way.
Whatever.
In the beginning of September.
Hey, I'm gonna try to not ruin friendships.
I can be nice about this. One of my favorite members of our Gilmore group was firmly in the Team Just camp, and she and I would have debates back and forth for hours.
Oh, Susan.
And I miss Susan. I miss her so much. She was one of my favorite people to talk to in that group. And she was
handle
Team
it,
Jess.
She couldn't handle it.
She did not like how many Team Logan there were. That was a shame. But we are going to be coming at you with our debate. All of us coming at each other. I got to stop saying it in that way. All of us talking together about who our favorite team is, September 4th.
It's just a debate, friendly debate.
Between September 7th and 11th, and Pompous Princeton guy will not be there. So it's all good. And you can tune in for our Chicago episodes that will keep you sustained in the meantime. We'll be talking about the latest seasons that are coming out. And we'll see you real soon. Don't forget to tune into our Gilmore Facebook page. That's Gilmore Girls, Gilmore Family Fan Club. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Loving our content? Subscribe to our YouTube channel, and don't forget to share our podcast with your family and friends. We want to continue the conversation with you. You can find us on Instagram, Twitter, or TikTok under Fandom Family Chats, or one of our ever-growing Facebook groups by searching Family Fan Club. We've also launched a website, Family Fan Club 2021 at Wixsite.com. You can email us there and keep checking it for announcements and merch coming soon. And of course, be sure to tune in every week for new episodes discussing all your favorite shows.
What are you laughing at?
Chicago.
Is that how I said it? Chicago?
It definitely was.
Chicago. Yeah. That's how you say it. Chicago.
Chicago.
Ooh, I hit the go real weird there. That's
you got the had the Wisconsin accent.
Chicago.
You know what? Chicago is a northern town. You guys make fun of how I say New Orleans. And you can say New Orleans however you want, but Chicago, that's how you say it because it's a Midwestern city.
I always usually when I say it, I say Chicago. Just because I try to mimic, like when I say Boston.
Boston.
It's Chicago. Chicago. That's how you say it.